You're not being realistic. You're afraid. And on some level, you've always known the difference. You just found a word respectable enough to hide it in. That's the trick of it. Fear knocks, and instead of answering the door, you hand it a suit. I'm just being practical. It's not the right time. I'm being responsible. And the whole world nods, because those are the words good, sensible adults are supposed to say. Stay, and you'll learn to hear it, the exact place where a real limit ends and a fear wearing a limit's clothes begins. Not to shame it, just to stop being fooled by it. I was the realistic one for years, the level-headed friend, the guy who ran the numbers and talked people down off their big ideas. I got complimented for it, right up until the day I heard my own fear come out of my mouth as advice, in someone else's face, and I couldn't unhear it. There's a word you used this week that was fear the whole time. By the end of this, you'll have the test that takes the costume off it. Before I tell you about the moment I heard it, the exact second my realism fell apart in front of someone, one thing. If you'd rather be told the truth than told you're being sensible, subscribe. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I come back to take the costume off one more comfortable lie. Like this, if that word, realistic, just got a little less comfortable. Now, the story. For about 12 years, I was the sensible one. It was practically my role in every room. Someone would come in lit up about something, quitting the job to build the thing, moving across the country, finally starting the project they'd talked about for a decade, and they'd bring it to me. Not by accident. They brought it to me because they knew what I'd do. I'd nod slowly, ask the careful questions, and gently walk them back down to earth. The runway. The savings. The timing. Have you really thought about the risk? I remember one of them specifically. A friend, across a kitchen table, telling me about a business he wanted to start. And I gave him the whole reasonable speech. The market's tough. Maybe wait a year. Keep the stable thing going. He deflated a little and thanked me. And I drove home feeling like the most grounded man alive. Useful. Mature. The adult in the room. I said no to 100 things that way. Other people's leaps and my own. And every single time it felt like wisdom. But being the realistic one was never the actual damage. The damage was a quiet decision I'd made about fear years earlier without ever noticing I'd made it. Here's the decision. Somewhere early, I'd quietly agreed that fear and caution were the same thing. And once you believe that, something convenient happens. Every fear you have gets to keep a respectable name. I never once said I'm scared to try that. I said, let's be realistic. I never said, I'm afraid I'll look like an idiot. I said, I'm just being careful. Every soft, frightened impulse in me walked around in a suit and tie, and I called the whole wardrobe good judgment. But here's the part that took me years to admit. I wasn't protecting myself from bad decisions. I was protecting myself from being seen trying and failing. That's a different thing entirely. A bad decision costs you money or time. Being seen trying and falling short, that costs you the image, the one where you're the smart one who's above needing to try too hard. And I'd built my whole self on that image. So I didn't just feel fear, I turned it into a personality. I made cowardice look so much like maturity that even I couldn't tell them apart. And people praised me for it, which is the cruelest part. The world hands out medals for this particular disguise. But it takes something small and humiliating to finally hear how your own realism sounds from the outside. And mine came out of nowhere. Later, trying to understand what I'd been doing, I found the man who'd named it almost a century earlier. Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, born 1875, the one who broke with Freud and built his own map of the mind. Two of his ideas cut right to it. The first is the persona, the mask you wear for the world, the polished face you want seen. Mine was the realistic one. The second is the shadow, everything you refuse to look at in yourself. Not just the ugly stuff, the fear, the wanting, the ambition you're too scared to admit you have. And Jung's warning was simple and brutal. What you won't make conscious doesn't go away. It runs the basement. It drives the car while you think you're steering. He put it plainly, and it stung. People will do almost anything, however absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Renaming your fear realism is exactly that absurd thing, just done with a straight face and a good vocabulary, and the science rhymes with him, quietly. We feel the pain of a loss about twice as hard as the pleasure of the same-sized win, so playing it safe feels rational when it's really just fear doing lopsided math. We cling to whatever we're already doing and call the inertia a choice. Put those together, and you get a man who mistakes his own flinch for good sense every single time. I made a whole video on the one truth the comfortable spend their lives not facing. This is the same move, shrunk down to a Tuesday. We rename the big fear morbid so we never look at it. We rename the small fears realistic for the exact same reason. Same flinch, just a smaller mirror. But naming it didn't fix it. Understanding rarely does. The turn came from somewhere I didn't choose. Let me pause the story for a second, honestly. The reason I can sit here and take apart my own excuses, instead of selling you a 5-step plan to be braver, is that this channel doesn't answer to what performs. It's funded directly by people, not by an algorithm rewarding whatever's loud and fast. If that's worth something to you, the Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description. Pay what you want, or nothing, and stay either way. Because what turned this around for me wasn't a decision, or a breakthrough, or a plan. It was something I didn't choose, and it happened in front of someone else. That's next. The turn wasn't a decision. It was an accident of hearing. Years into all this, someone younger came to me, bright, nervous, holding an idea they clearly loved. They wanted my read on it, so I gave it. The careful questions, the runway, the timing, the market. Maybe wait until it's safer. I watched them fold the idea back up and put it away, and say thanks. Exactly like my friend at the kitchen table. Exactly like 100 times before. But this time something was off, because I'd heard those exact sentences very recently, in my own head, about my own life, at 3 in the morning. Word for word. The same be careful. The same not yet. And standing there, watching this kid dim themselves down on my advice, I finally heard it from the outside. It wasn't wisdom. It had never been wisdom. It was fear. My fear, in my own voice, and I was handing it to them like something valuable. Passing it down, like an heirloom. I don't remember saying anything useful. I just stood there, caught. You spend years admiring your own reflection, and then one day you catch it at the wrong angle and see the flinch you'd been calling a face. So I stopped trusting the word realistic on sight, and I started doing one small thing that still feels strange to admit. Now, when a no shows up wearing the word realistic, I don't trust it and I don't fight it. I test it. One question, and it's almost embarrassingly simple. I ask, is this an actual limit or a fear dressed as one? Here's how I tell them apart. A real limit has numbers behind it, or a body behind it, or someone else who'd genuinely get hurt. It stays a limit even after I've calmed down. A fear in a limit's clothes does something different. It only shows up when I might have to be seen trying. It gets very loud right before the leap, and goes quiet the second I decide not to. And there's a second question underneath that one. Not should I do the scary thing. I ask, what would I do here if I weren't afraid, not to force myself to do it, but just to see the fear clearly, standing there, before it puts its suit on? Half the time, honestly, I still choose the careful option. But now I know which ones are actually careful, and which ones are just me hiding with better vocabulary. That's the whole practice. 2 questions, and the willingness to not like the answers. It's small, it's unglamorous, it doesn't feel brave. But I won't sell you courage here, because courage isn't what any of this gave me. Let me be honest about what actually changed, because it's less than you'd hope. I'm not fearless. I have the exact same fears I had at that kitchen table, of failing in front of people, of looking foolish, of trying hard and coming up short. None of them left. If you're waiting for the part where I tell you the fear goes away, it doesn't, and anyone who says otherwise is selling something. Here's the only thing that's different. I can't feel wise about my fear anymore. That's it. That's the whole prize. The mask used to pay me. Every let's be realistic came with a little hit of feeling mature, grounded, superior to the reckless people around me. That payment stopped. Now realistic is just a word I have to check twice before I trust it. I lost the comfort of the disguise. And I'll be straight, some of what I saw when the mask came off, I'd rather not have seen. 12 years of careful no's. A few of them I now know weren't wisdom. They were just fear, and they cost me things I don't get back. Seeing that clearly isn't peace. It's just the end of a particular lie I was telling myself. So it's not courage, it's not calm, it's just less lying to myself at the price of a comfort I used to really enjoy. But if any of this sounds like your own life in slightly different clothes, here's the part that's actually yours. So I'm not going to give you a routine. No face one fear a day. That's just another costume, bravery as a personality, instead of realism as one. Same trap, different suit. Here's the only thing. Sometime this week, you're going to say one of those sentences. It's not the right time. I'm just being careful. Let's be realistic. You won't plan to. It'll come out smooth, in that reasonable adult voice, and everyone around you will nod. When it happens, catch it. Don't argue with it. Don't leap. Just ask yourself one honest question. Once, what is this protecting me from? Not what's the risk. What am I afraid of being or seeing or having someone watch me try? You don't have to do the scary thing. That's not the assignment. You can still choose the careful path. Some careful paths are real. The assignment is just to stop lying about which one it is. To say, even if only to yourself, in the dark, that wasn't wisdom. That was fear. I just liked how the other words sounded. Because you already know the difference. You always did. The only question is how much longer you're going to keep calling it something else. Remember the level-headed guy from the start, the one who talked everyone down, including himself? I'm not fully done being him. Some days he still runs the numbers and calls it wisdom. You're probably not done being your version either. That's fine. This was never about killing him off in one video. But here's where you and I stop pretending together, right now. In the comments, write the exact realistic sentence you've been leaning on, not the right time, whatever yours is. And next to it, honestly, what it's been protecting you from. Reading a whole wall of those is a strange kind of relief, proof that none of us are quite as sensible as we sound. If this felt like your own voice played back to you, send it to the person you keep realistically talking out of things. And if you want a place that keeps calling this stuff by its real name, 3 times a week, the link's in the description, not to help me, but to keep something honest running in a feed that mostly isn't. I'll be here Friday. You already know what you'll have said realistic about before then.